Hello, good afternoon, everyone who all are joining in and who may join in later in the event. This is your host, Himanshi Kaushik, and I would like to welcome you all in today's webinar on unleashing the power of data science and its application in industry. And I hope that you all are safe, fine, happy, and sound at wherever you're taking this webinar from. So before we learn a lot more about the industry today and the data science, we have our experts here with us. So I'd like to ask and request Amritpal sir to kindly please present us or introduce us to our experts.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
You're audible, sir.
All right. So I welcome today's expert, Mr. Vishad Dubey. He's Director of Data Science Transorg Analytics. He has got 13 plus years of experience in strategy consulting in finance, automotive, real estate, and hospitality. He's holding an MBA degree from IIM Kozhikode, and he's skilled in machine learning, statistical data analysis, data analytics, business strategy, business transformation, and he's also expert in Excel, VBA, Python, SQL, and Power BI. I welcome you, sir, for this session, and it's over to you. Kindly start with your presentation, sir.
Thanks, Samprit, for such a kind and generous introduction, and welcome everyone. So to set the agenda first, we'll talk about data science in general, and I hope my screen is shared and visible at your end.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we'll keep the flow of the discussion in a way that we'll talk about what is data science in general. There's some neat world problems, so as to speak some specific problems where we have been using, where we see the use case of data science, what are the industry trends, and as most of you would be interested, what are the different job roles and kind of payouts that you could look at. Mostly we would talk about the domestic market, but we do understand there are a lot of scope outside of Indian boundaries. And why should you specifically pick a career in the field of data science? And how do you prepare for a career in data science, and what all should be the do's and the don'ts? So let's start. And I hope this discussion is going to be as interesting as the field is. So when we say data science in general, as a human being, we always have a tendency of identifying patterns consciously or subconsciously. So what data science does is that it uses various structured way defined algorithms, tools, and technology to find patterns in data that is available. Now, there are two different ways in which it does it. One is known as supervised way of learning, and another is unsupervised way of learning. So mostly what happens is that you look at the data, and depending on different use cases, try to find the boundaries, try to define the pattern. And then there are two ways in you do it, either descriptive, you describe a particular pattern, or you make predictions for the future. Now, the obvious question comes in mind is, what are the different tools and technology or courses or learning knowledge platforms which go in a typical data science use case? So like it's present on your screen, you have mathematics, which play a huge role, statistics, machine learning is like one of the use cases or subset of data science, computer programming, because most of the work now in last 5-10 years has been basically done by coding, different languages, we'll come to it. Statistical modeling, you have data engineering to create pipelines, and we call it engineering because we are engineering the flow of data from one end to another end. So as to speak, the back end, the source of the data, to front end, which is the consumer end. Visualization is mostly the front end that I talk about. And pattern recognition, like I said initially, that is the biggest use case or the biggest advantage that typical structured data science technique gives us. Uncertainty modeling is another use case, like we have, it happens in case of anomaly, it happens in case of unsupervision modeling, where we don't know what the outcome most probably is going to be. Data warehousing is again a subset that how you collect the data, you create the warehouse, which would act as the sink from where the data would be picked and all kind of data techniques would be deployed. And cloud computing is a kind of enabler or a technical tool which is used to do all kind of data science work. So let's move ahead. And Himanshi, just a second, help me. Are we taking questions in between the discussion or right at the end?
So right in the end, I think that would be fine because all the participants can then join in.
All right, fair enough. So we'll move ahead. You would have heard of this proverb or axiom that data is the new oil. Why do we say so? Because most of the businesses and industries are moving towards making their strategic, technical, and operational decision making based on data. So as not to take away the credit from different organizations, that we have business experts who have been in the industry or domain for 15 to 20 years, and they more or less 90% of the time are good with their decisions or right in their decision. But still, what we are, the change that we are seeing is at even at a micro technical level or at a very strategic level, the organizations are converging to a point of singularity, so as to say, where all decisions are being made based on data. So these are some of the representative statistical figures which show the role of data that is being played as of today. And this is one of the very interesting fact that 90% of data which is consumable or at least traceable has been generated by different systems in last 2 and 3 years. But, and one more thing is, most of the time that you would see, at least here in your vicinity or with from your seniors or peers, is that we tend to work on structured data. What we call as structured data is tabular data, that you have rows and columns. But the surprising thing is, the data that is being captured, 90% at least of it is unstructured data. And what we call as unstructured data are mostly audio bytes, video bytes, text outputs. So there's a huge scope to have a knowledge of both unstructured data, data science, to become a data scientist who's well-versed both handling the unstructured data, like Alexa, which is a very big a part of our daily life, is mostly a use case of unstructured data. While as all the credit messages that we get or the prompt calls that we get from different, let's say when we swipe our card and we get an authorization call from our banks, that is more 90% of the time case of structured data. And the curve on the right of your screen shows that what is happening in terms of computation per second per $1,000 in over the decades about the data consumption and technology evolution. This is again a representative figure which shows that over the decades, what has been the evolution in terms of use cases and the different technology, how advanced we have become in terms of capturing data. So most of the professors and most would be aware of the fact that initially statistical techniques, so as to speak, it forms the core of any kind of machine learning model. What has happened now is still using those statistical techniques with different computational power, and those techniques have become a lot more efficient now. You would remember, or you would have seen or heard that we used to use SPSS in our graduation days. At least I used to use SPSS MATLAB for different analysis. And over the period of 13 years, we have now moved to using cloud in our daily data mining work or data science work. So BI has evolved, so as to speak, in terms of what are the enablers, who have been the drivers. So if you look at somewhere around 1990s, we had those enterprise level systems. SAP was one of the big players, or still is. Oracle was and still is a big player, which used to provide ready-made solutions which are adopted by different organizations to solve their decision-making needs based on data. Eventually, towards the early days of 2000, when we had internet and web-based systems, all these systems enabled us to consume data, and we could use them for analytics and business intelligence work. Then now that we are moving to post 2010, we have cloud-based systems which have taken the front role in consuming the data. These RFID and sensors are all Internet of Things, most probably you all would have heard, wherein we are consuming or extracting data from all the points possible. And we think in near future, like we have Alexa, again, is an example where it is acting as an IoT, taking in voice from the environment and playing the commands, or enabling those commands being played based on internal algorithms. Now, there are various trends, not only 17 or 7. Nobody can specifically categorize or number down how many trends are there in the field of data science trends. So big data big data and private cloud are obviously one of the converging point where everyone is reaching. The idea has become from consuming or preparing a management information system to move towards more strategic or actionable data point decision-making systems. We have started using these analytics and insight into the data ecosystem now, and also a big role is being played by data engineers or ETL experts who are automating the process. What we initially used to see are the manual labor intensive process are slowly moving towards the point where there is machine intervention. I mean, we have, let's say, smart TV are an example, smart LED lights are an example, which are completely devoid now of human intervention, have become sensor based. Internet of things, like I just mentioned, most of the things that were being used by us are being connected to internet, are becoming self-sufficient in consuming data and taking actions and becoming deployable. Natural language processing, like is an example, is a very good use case wherein we punch in, or the system takes in data in different texts, different languages, processes the languages and comes out with a use case or an analytics which can be used. A very good example of it is ChatGPT in most advanced form in AI, wherein we are giving the prompts and ChatGPT is it's a generative AI. It's generating an unseen text or a text from the world of internet. So NLP is a very good use case for data science. And last point, one of the another important points is democratization of machine learning models, meaning to say all the AI models and ML models are on the cloud services. So it is not being used by specific big companies like it used to happen like 5 to 6 years back. IBM Watson was one of the big players, and you need to have a very special certified course to being able to use those services. But now it has been democratized to an extent that anyone who has an interest can go ahead and build their own ML and AI models. Again, ChatGPT is a very good example, which any one of us can use it and for our specific use cases. So these we'll have some graphical representation of in different functions in different world where we are seeing analytics, ML and AI. So social media analytics, we would have seen after Elon Musk taking over, he said that we would be using AI and ML further to weed out unnecessary Twitters and bringing in algorithms. Whatever recommendation we see on Facebook or other social media platform is highly dependent on use of ML and AI techniques. E-commerce analytics, again, they use giants like Amazon or Myntra or anyone, Flipkart for that matter. They use recommendation algorithms to recommend to us different products, doing the cross-sell, so as to speak. Mobility route optimizer, you have G Maps or Google Maps, or you have optimal routes in Ubers and Olas. Then banking, I think BFSI as a field or an industry was the earliest adapter of ML and AI. Listening, recommend similar Google, Alexa, these Google Mini, Alexa, these are very good example. Healthcare analytics, now what was initially used to happen as human filled forms, then medical representatives or doctor or acting as a consultants. Now we have AI models which are quite successful in detecting diseases on their own. Smart home, another example that I talked about, LED based lights, different appliances in home, driverless car in another representation. So we have different techniques. I think there's almost not even a single domain wherein ML and AI are not encroaching and have some successful business use case. Where the matter lies in having experts who also have the knowledge of the domain along with the technical expertise and are also able to propose a viable solution. Let's move to the next slide, where we would talk about typical stages which are there. So when we talk about stages, if you'll just look at the graphical representation on the left side of this screen. So when we've had data always, whenever any technical work was done or any activity was done, the data point is always generated. Now there are 3 layers or 3 levels to which the data can be consumed or used. So you can always have insights developed. Even before insights, you can just have data being presented as an information system, which is typically, let's say, a report card of of our work. So when we graduate from one class to another, what we used to have as a report card was just a information system of our performance. Then another level is insights. So basis on our grades from on different subjects or as compared to other students, we used to have insights that we have performed good, better, worse in which of the different subjects. Now decisions is coming that basis on this insights, corporation or we as an individual can take decision. Okay, these were the different subjects, so as to speak, where I didn't do better, so I need to do better here. And then actions is then when I said I need to do better, I have to convert that into an actionable plan, and that how do I plan to do better in a given time period and what are the resources required. Like I said in the beginning, there are two ways in which data science is used. One is known as descriptive, wherein the descriptive analytics is done that, okay, your system looks like this, your work looks like this, your operations look like this. And another is prescriptive, where we make a prescription. So since you want to reach this goal, you have to take this path. So that becomes what should I do? And then you have the advanced level of artificial intelligence, wherein we don't define the goal, we define the path that we define the goal, and the path is learned by the system itself. So, okay, the end objective, let's say, is to learn Mandarin. Now the system would ask for, or we'll provide the system all the texts that are available, and it will decide a process that how eventually in, let's say, in next 1 year, I should be able to understand Mandarin. Again, ChatGPT is a very good example. As of now, what we see is a beta version, so as to say, wherein we are providing in the input, it is providing us an output and asking for a feedback. Now, basis on our feedback that the output provided in the first step is a relevant output, the system would be able to learn, okay, my artificial intelligence is on track, and it will keep on developing. So that is like the most evolved stage of artificial intelligence. A very good example, at least a futuristic fictional is a good example is Iron Man that we have seen in Marvel movies, where while Tony Stark is talking to Jarvis, and the system in itself learns what needs to be done next and makes the best recommendation to the character. This is one of the typical BFSI use case that we have given so that we can go step by step. I'll go in detail, at least on this case, that how we use data science and or we can use, or a corporate can use at different stages of a customer life cycle. So first of all, like for every business, the typical use cases help the data science or analytics helping the business in acquiring the customer. So how it is typically done is we look at the past customer who have been the loyal customer, which is the most relevant customer set for us, and what are our strong points. And the system makes a recommendation. Okay, these are the things, or these are the steps, or these are the customer groups which should be targeted for taking the customer. Now, as we move to the second stage, and as the customer journey progresses, we look at the different actions taken by the customer, taken by the organization, and we try to create a customer 360, which is essentially looking at all the touch points of a single customer and extrapolating it to the complete customer base. Now, once we have almost all information that can be captured from the customer, we try to create we try to create a cross-sell and upsell business use cases, wherein although the customer might have subscribed to one particular service, and we try to cross-sell a service, meaning to say, let's say the customer has come for a savings account, we might want to pitch in the most profitable service for us and also for the customer, let's say a credit card, or it could be an upsell. So the customer has opened a savings account for a particular limit, or we might want to, so as to speak, lure the customer in opening an FD or a bigger savings account or a corporate savings account. Another use case is of customer default, which is, again, let's say we are talking about the loan dispensation function of our particular bank, and we want to see that who are the most possible probable customers who can do a default on this particular loan. So should we allocate this loan to them or not? Now, portfolio analysis, like it's written, is a very specific use case. Not every customer would fall in this particular category, but what essentially happens in this is that we see if there is any fraud, any delinquency, or any prediction of the claims. If we are in the business of insurance in BFSI, we would want to predict that most probably who is going to do a default. Collection performance monitoring is also from the lieu of loans and insurances. And skip tracing is a very typical term that is used in the BFSI domain, wherein we see, or it's not about default, or it's about, let's say somebody has skipped on their EMI or somebody has skipped on their premium. So we want to track that and also predict at times. So this is a very defined use cases of data science in the field of BFSI. And we can also use it for customer churns, that people who might move out of our ecosystem. Now, more or less, these use cases are domain agnostic. You can have these use cases in different industry. Similar journey more or less would be, let's say in airline industry, you would want to acquire your customer, you want to cross-sell your services, you would want to see who would eventually churn out from your service, as let's say Indigo for airlines would want to see that who eventually is going for another flyer. So this journey, any B2C typical centric business usually go through this life cycle, customer life cycle, and data science use cases. So these are some of the figures, global figures that we have put in just to give an insight the role of data science as of today. So by 2026, we are sitting in, using 11.5 as a representative figure, or you don't use it. What we need to know, there are millions of job opportunities for anyone who wants to work in the field of data science. In India alone, if you just do a random search, you would see posts for different organization at different level. It's not only at the entry level, it's at the expert level, at all levels. And freshers are high in demand, people who are good in coding. We'll talk about a specific skill set that makes the best use or can bolster your chances of getting into a data science organization. And 33.5% is the rate at which Indian data science industry is going in terms of revenue or market value. 2023, the current year, the year that we are sitting, is India is supposed to become one of the data science leader in terms of AI. And data scientists, approximately what we have seen in terms of median average and median salary, was almost earning 2x of any other graduate in any other stream. So this is a good slide. So what are the different roles that are available? So machine learning engineer is at times it's an interchangeable role that is being used. In US, they usually call it in Western world machine learning engineer, but otherwise it is mostly to do with engineers or graduates who are very comfortable in deploying algorithms in the field of machine learning or code, are the good coders. And the skill set that you will look, they are very good in computer programming, the data structure that you would have been studying, big data, cloud computing. And data analysts, their job responsibilities are mostly on interpretation of the data, the intelligence of the data, making sense of the data, creating the information report, intelligence, actionable reports. Data engineer, so as to speak, they talk about, there are two aspects to being a data engineer. One is data architect, who sets up the groundwork or the technological foreground for data team of data scientists to work on. And another is a hardcore data engineer, who typically works on creating the data flow or ETL pipelines between the source data toward the downstream data scientists and eventually the end pipelines for front-end visualization. Now, typical data scientist within the data science ecosystem is the one who's most comfortable with data science algorithms. So here that person is supposed to be quite comfortable, at least theoretically, with all the algorithms that are classically known. There are thousands of algorithms, so we don't expect, or nobody expects one person to know almost all the algorithms, but classical algorithms, most used algorithms, to be comfortable in different languages. Most prominent languages that are being currently used is Python, SQL. Most prominent technologies and tools and platforms that are being used for development of these algorithms are cloud-based. It could be AWS, it could be GCP, Google product, and or Azure, Microsoft Azure. And Power BI data visualizer, usually corporates have them as a standalone profile, but it's always good to be a data visualizer, because let's say you are part of an analytics consulting based organization. So most of the time your team and your team manager would be responsible to present your work to the business. And that usually happens through presentations also, but mostly through any of the visualization tools like Tableau, Power BI. So it's good to have skill set again for a data scientist. And last but not the least, the maths that we learn in our school days of graduation, probabilities and statistics comes very handy. So ideally, how we start learning is directly at the algorithm, but it's always good to take a step back, revise all our concepts of probability and statistics, and then continue with our journey of learning machine learning. So this is just a representation of these are not sacrosanct figures. They do change from place to place, but on an average, these are the kind of figures you can expect when you graduate. So data scientist, depending on number of years that you have, you can have anything from somewhere around 8-10 lakhs in terms of freshers to the range of going as high as 25 plus. And if somebody's eyeing for a senior management role, data engineers is also a comparable role. And I think in near future, this will also increase a lot, because most of the corporations are in a stage where more than using data science use cases, they are in a nascent stage where they are migrating their legacy systems to cloud. So there the role of a data architect or data engineer becomes most critical. And data analyst has always been in demand and will always be in demand, because those are the person who are the most responsible one in translating data or the use of data into business language. So coming to the journey that we can best suggest basis our experience of what we see in our market is, I think Anju can further can, and she will elaborate, is to get professionally certified on a specific course, or through top machine learning and AI courses. And this is important. Why? I mean, nobody is stopping anyone to self-learn it through different. There are a lot of data points available, lot of courses available online, but it's always helps to have a professionally certified degree, so that your resume or you individually stand out. And you can be a general purpose data scientist in your earlier years, or if you already are comfortable with a particular domain, or if you want to join a particular domain, it will always be helpful to go for specific use cases of data science in that domain. So let's say banking we've talked about, but trust me, data science is being used in all the industry, be it hospital. We have clients in different domain who use data science extensively, be it aviation, be it hospitality, be it retail, be it banking. So you have to identify the domain you are most comfortable in, but not necessarily in, let's say, first year of your job. You may find your touch or comfort ground with different domains. So it's good, but it's good to have knowledge of that domain. You should talk with circle of experts. And I think I've seen at other webinar sessions that are being held or they are upcoming. I think LPU is doing a great job in conducting those sessions. So be part of those sessions, interact with them, reach out to different experts on LinkedIn or other in your own peer group, and talk to them and that what is the use case of data science, or rather what are the business problems, and think how can that business problem be solved using data. And then data science will have an answer of a particular algorithm that can help in solving that particular business use case. And how do you practice? Of course, the best thing is to self-learn, self-practice, but it's always good to apply for internship in organizations who are extensively involved in use of data science. You take part in all the competitions. Initially, only Kaggle was there, but now there are a lot of organizations which have open source organization, which have year-long running competitions. Even Transorg conducts them. Get an experience certificate from them and try to have the knowledge. So the winning is in practice. So the more you practice, the more you become hands-on, because this technology in itself is evolving. You might learn an algorithm today, tomorrow you might find another flavor of that algorithm which is better in solving the same business problem. So the more you practice, the better you become, because there is no end goal even in a particular algorithm, that okay, this is the time, if I spend 1 year with this particular algorithm, I'll become an expert to it. You will become, for sure, become very good in it, but by that time you will see that there is another flavor or dimension of that algorithm that someone somewhere has explored. So keep practicing as much as possible. So factors to consider while you embark on your journey is, so one thing is that you have to again take a step back and see, are we learning it AI and ML the difficult way? What is the difficult ways? So we need to appreciate that this is a very subjective field. All right. So there's not very defined way in this, so as to speak, at least in our subconscious mind, that how should we go about it. So we have to bring in a purposeful thought or intervention in our action, that we are taking practicals, or we are going in a very defined and structured way in learning data science. So there is so much to learn, so we can't get stretched or distracted in every direction, that let me also learn video analytics, let me also do audio analytics. Okay, deep learning sounds very very promising, let's directly jump into deep learning. Chat GPT is the hottest thing, let's start learning NLP and work on generative AI or image processing. What we personally recommend to all our freshers, team members and interns is to go in a structured way, like we have been just talking in the previous slide, that define a path, go for a particular course, go get the basics right, get the foundation of statistics, maths right, and then move step by step in a structured manner. What are the courses? Now the question comes in, how do you pick on the course, or how do you pick on the learning path which is the best? See, it's always good if you can have again, for every knowledge sharing session or for any program, it's always good to have you live training for the entire duration, and the ratio of the instructor to the student is, I wouldn't call it minimal, it should be optimized to an extent possible. Sessions should be very interactive, because like I said, data science is a very subjective subject. Nobody can raise their hand and say that this is the perfect solution. 2 plus 2 is not 4 in this field. It could be argued that in the particular scenario, we are talking about 2 plus 2 being 5 using some other logic. So it has to be as interactive and as possible. Try to do as many projects in a particular domain as possible, because it will give you an idea that how do you make sense of a data. And there are two aspects to it. You might aspire to become the technical proficient, or let's say a PhD student, or you might want to make the breakthrough in the next AI-based product. So in those cases, what will help individual is to go deep in the knowledge of a particular algorithm. While somebody might want to aspire to become a consultant who finds problem solving very attractive. So that person also needs to understand that, okay, I have to spend time on data science, I have to learn data science, I have to deploy data science, but eventually that is should be of use in solving a particular business case problem. I mean, it could be something as fun as exercise, or which we subconsciously do, is when we predict, okay, for today's IPL final, who's most probably going to win. So we do a lot of subconscious level data science because it excites us naturally. So if I want to make this kinds of prediction, then I should be associated, or I should have that bent of mind to learn that particular domain. So anyone who has watched a lot of cricket matches or has been following IPL would be for sure in a better position to make a prediction as against someone who's going just by their direct gut feel. So it's very important that we are doing multiple projects to reinforce our understanding. Assignments and case study, this is true not only for data science, it is true for any stream. And course should be customized as per your background. So let's say if your background is non-technical, in the sense that we have not spent a lot of time on statistics, then the course that you take up should cover statistics to a greater extent. Let's say we have not done a lot of maths vector-based problems in our life, then your course should ensure that we are covering maths comfortably. I think this is what I had today with me to present, and we can have an interactive session now. Like we are saying, Himanshi, if there are any questions, specific targeted questions, any of the slides, I would feel happy to go back to any of the slides also.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for giving this presentation, and thank you so much
Pleasure.
for dedicating your time as well. Yes, so we have certain few questions coming in from all the students. So
Sure.
this question came from Radha Sharma, and it read, "Can we think of any entrepreneurship option whilst in data science? And if it is yes, then what?"
That's what has happened. If you look closely in the Indian economy for past few years, a lot of entrepreneurs or startups have come that are purely based on use of data and data science, so as to speak. And let's say cred, you would have heard about. So what they are doing it, if you dig in further, they are using B2C customer level data. They come up with a beta version of offering, and then they closely monitor what their particular customer set is behaving, how are they using the credit points, how are they using specific services, and then they build on these particular ventures. So Zomato, if you look at the journey of 10 plus years of Zomato, initially when it picked from being a simple server of menu, when it started you bringing in the flavor of recommendations, when it started uh, optimizing or aligning their delivery services completely based on customer preferences. So that's what I said. It's very domain agnostic. Anything that you want to do, anything, let's say you want to become a physiotherapist and you want to open a clinic. So what data science can help you there is, if I get my hands on who are the person, who are the customer, where is my customer base, which is looking closely on as a aligning to these kind of services or subscribing to these particular kind of physiotherapy services. So any field that you can think of, you can become an entrepreneur using these technology and data science as a tool. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir. And I also agree with the same. And so thank you for resolving this query. And so we have another query coming in from Ishani Hilal. And it says, can one study this while doing some other course, for example, botany?
That's why it's see, data science, I'll tell you my story. I mean, 13 years back there was not this phrase. I mean, at least in US it was, at least in India we never had this phrase called data science. It's just that you need to have that bent of mind of using data. So when you go down to, let's say, doing PhD in botany, though, how does, I think anyone who's be familiar with statistics, it starts with hypothesis testing, right? So if you are trying to make a breakthrough revolution in botany, so if you have an hypothesis evolved there or plugged in there, you can for sure use data science in botany to substantiate your research work. In fact, if one of the very early use cases which are theoretically talked in based on the petal shape and sizes, the
Okay,
data is
I
such.
believe. Am I audible, sir?
You are, I was or not?
Yeah, yeah. So you were stuck sometime. Yeah.
Oh, it could be network issue. So take my word for it. Any field that you can think of, you can become a better homemaker by using data science as your go-to tool. That how do you organize, what should I do, what most probably what to my spouse or kids or my parents will most probably eat on a Friday, so you can plan better on Thursday. Use data science to run your home better.
Okay. Sir, we have another question from Viraha, and he says, is there any difference between data analysis and data science, basically? Is there any?
So exactly, I mean, closely related. Like I said, analysis is you look at the data and you analyze for a particular trend. So these words are interchangeable, so as to speak, it's more colloquial. But if we go exactly by the technical jargon, analysis restricts itself or limits itself to the extent of identifying pattern. Data science is the structured way of identifying and describing that pattern, but also use that pattern analysis to make some prediction. So what you get at the bottom, who is going to win? 48% people say. So that is analysis or information system. But when they ask the commentators before the match begins, they use their subconscious data analysis of past that this team is going to win. So that is data science.
Okay, sir, we have another question, and okay, this is something very casual. What is the average salary that one gets in data science?
Anything. It's groundbreaking depending on your, I mean, whatever you, so depending on organization, depending on your talent, you can aim for anything.
Okay, so this another question came from, okay, it is a kind of a tricky question. It says, would it harm human race if in the long run, if this technology continues?
See, knife, you can use it to peel butter and fruits and or to kill someone.
Yeah. Okay, I hope that answers the question. Okay, so last but not the least, of course, can it be incorporated in 10+2 or +2 courses as well? As in, I think they're
Well,
talking.
my niece in class 8th is learning Python. So I think, and if you look at, I think Mr. Yogi, Chief Minister of UP, has come up that schools would eventually, from this session only, 2023 will have data science ML courses.
So, Kritesh, I hope that you've got the answer that you wanted to. And sir, with this, I'd like to thank you. Okay, we have question. Okay, from Jot Singh. With lots of free time right now, what should we pursue right now as skill to learn up until start for us? Okay, I think sir, this Jot sir wants to know what can he learn because he's free right now and his college has not yet started. So what skills can he learn?
With eventually the idea of becoming a data scientist, I assume, right?
Yeah, I
All
believe.
right. So the best thing is revise your maths, your stats, your probability, and next is coding languages. So get certified in coding languages and cloud-based technology. It will definitely help. If not for data science, if you pick on the language, it will help you. If not for data science, anywhere you go, being technologically efficient will always help you.
Okay, thank you, sir. And Japjot, I hope that you've got the answer. And with this, sir, I'd like to ask Anju ma'am if she wants to add anything to the webinar before we wrap this webinar up.
I think Vishad has answered all the questions really well. In fact, you know, some of the answers are so good, even I was laughing.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, Himanshi, students would like to know more about the program BTech CSC with specialization in data science and data engineering, or is it like general that you're asking me? I hope the students know or already know about this program that LPU is offering in tie with Transorg Analytics.
Ma'am, they must be knowing it, but it would be great if you can just show them or tell them about this one.
No worries. Yeah, right. BTech CSC honors with specialization in data science and data engineering in association with Transorg Analytics is a 4 years degree undergraduate program, wherein we are covering all the trending courses, which includes your predictive analytics, big data tools and technologies, machine learning, web analytics, deep learning, and all of that as part of the course. So we are providing almost like 16 to 18 specialized courses over the duration of 4 years. And what we are also offering as part of the course is a lot of hackathons, datathons to give students practical understandings of data science use cases. We are also want to offer a lot of exposure in terms of what is going on in the industry. So we are providing guest sessions, mentorship sessions on a regular basis, on a frequent basis to all the students who are joining this program, enrolling for this program. So that's there. And so the focus of this program basically is to make the students quant specialist. So when I say quant specialist, it's not just the computing skills or the coding skills that we want to offer. We also want to offer quantitative and mathematical skills as part of this program, which is like, very much in demand and very much required for the people who are data science enthusiasts. So this is a nutshell about the program. And as part of the program, you would also be getting a seed money if you want to start your entrepreneurial journey. So that's there. The provision is there. You will have a lot of ideathons, which will happen in due course of time in the program during the program. And workshops, webinars, a lot of practical understandings, and subject matter experts, lectures, guest sessions, TED Talks will all be there as part of the program. So all in all, a fun-filled program is what I would say. Yeah. So that's the program, BSc Honors, CSC with data science specialization for you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for navigating and revising students what the program is and what they can actually get whilst being in the program. And now, with this, I think we do not have any more questions now. So I'd ask if any of the expert want to add anything to the webinar, or I shall wrap this up. Amritpal sir, do you want to add anything to it?
I guess, ma'am, everything has been conveyed very well by Vishad sir and Anju ma'am. So I guess.
Okay, then. With this, I would want to take leave from all attendees, of course, and I would thank you to all the attendees to join in, and the questions that you've given us are really appreciated. So until next webinar, stay safe and stay healthy. And also, I just want to tell you one thing, that if you have missed any part of this webinar will be uploaded on YouTube and will be on our lpu.in site. Okay, so kindly explore the site, and we have other webinars also coming up. We have webinars every day. You can register for free and get knowledge as much as you want. So with this, I wrap this webinar up, sir. Thank you so much, Vishad sir, and thank you so much, Anju ma'am, for joining in, for giving your
Thank
time.
you, sir and ma'am.
Okay, then.
Thank you, Himanshi. Thank you,
A
Dr.
pleasure is
Amritpal.
mine. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so